You are now listening to the new Old Heads podcast, premiered every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time at BringDownTheBand.com, and brought to you by No Bad Ideas, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl, and Sun King Brewery. Support the new Old Heads by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the new Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7. The entire crew is here, starting off with my man across the table, Lonegevity. How are you, sir?
Doing swell, Michael.
Good to see you. Good to see you as always.
Thanks. You too.
Across the table from our, situation we got here, my man Jay Moore. How are you, sir?
Doing all right. Kicking but not high, flapping but can't fly. You know the business.
Right, with the game. Okay.
Pimpin' since pimpin' been pimpin'.
Since been pimping. All right, to my immediate left, my man DJ Jay Diff. What's happening, man?
Salutations.
You good?
I'm here. We are all here, and we're doing it again live for the third week in a row.
Yes.
And everything seems to be going just fine.
Yeah.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Cobwebs. We got the cobwebs out. Shout out to Lone and Red August. They have been grinding to get the production portion together.
Your favorite song?
No. I'd go wamp over grinding, but we're not gonna we ain't gonna do this because this will lead to violence, and I don't want to go that route.
Violence. Huh?
What happened to that boy is better than grinding. If you ask me, that's just me.
Womp womp.
Stop, man.
Or maybe that's womp womp womp.
No, man, it's not.
Now you had it right the first time.
It's wamp, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Wamp wamp.
He's like, I'm just gonna be wrong on purpose.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah, on purpose.
If you're gonna say wamp 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 is better than grinding,
no, man. Shout out to Red August in the building, on-site production. We appreciate you, brother. He's doing great camera work. We got some new bells and whistles you'll see on the camera work as well when you watch. So salute to the homies for putting in that extra work to make this product shine. So
indeed,
appreciate it. Shout out to the chat as well. We see you. Nicole is in the building. Richie Bowen dropped some words earlier. I think those are the only two I see so far. If you lurking, we appreciate you. Did I miss something? I'm sorry.
Possibly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, those are the only ones I see. Now, if there's somebody else in there, I don't know. That's all I see.
Awesome.
Good for telling people there's only two people in the chat.
There'll be more.
Shouts to the 17,000 other people in there.
Yeah.
That's lurking. That's all I was getting to. The lurkers.
You just not ready yet. It's all good. Shout out to the two of y'all.
Yeah, the ones I see.
We appreciate y'all.
We don't count the lurkers because we got lurkers and workers. I lurk on Twitch, so I still be watching. All right. I shouldn't have said that because I be lurking bad. I be lurking. No, not that. I'm talking about me lurking. I be lurking bad on Twitch instead of working. I be lurking. Anyway, let's get into the rundown.
Can't get right.
Great movie, by the way. My mama ain't never seen Life. Y'all know that?
No,
you've never seen it.
There's no reason that I would have known it.
Do the first topic first.
Yeah, we're gonna go right down the line.
No, I mean the
random topic first. So if you guys have been paying attention to the news, Boosie is very excited because he said Bill Cosby home, man. So he's very excited. I saw him on IG going crazy. So as we all know, he was released on would technicality be the error? Would that be the best way to say that? Yeah, released on an error.
Yeah, that's close. That's
close enough.
Well.
We'll go with
none
error.
of us are lawyers here, so
we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. But Phylicia Rashad came out and was just like, justice has been served, and she was tweeting, and she was happy that he was released. And then Twitter started dragging Phylicia. And, she had just accepted a position at Howard. Mm-hmm. So Bill Cosby made her...
That's Miss Rashad, sir.
Yeah, sorry, Miss Rashad. You right.
You get real familiar.
Yeah, I got to respect her. Got to respect her. But she accepted that position a while back. And then, you know how Black Twitter going to go. They started going crazy and going through the whole routine just for her pretty much just saying her opinion. So she had to retract somewhat. She released a statement clarifying what she meant when she said what she said in terms of her comments, but she really was just happy that he got out. But Bill Cosby released a statement saying that Howard University must support one's freedom of speech, Ms. Rashad, which is taught or supposed to be taught every day at the renowned law school which resides on your campus. And he closed the statement by saying, "We the people stand in support of Miss Phylicia Rashad. So Bill came out firing and had her back, 100% in terms of what she said. But this thing has been everywhere, man, in terms of I'm seeing hip hop people coming out like throwing flyers for Bill's free parties. Like it's
No, that was a real thing. I looked that up. I thought that had to be fake, but nope.
Bro,
Bill, welcome home, Bill Cosby. That was actually a party they had in Atlanta.
Yeah,
That's ignorant.
Ladies got in free all night, which was. I was like, I'm not laughing at that.
He's serious though. Yeah, they're serious though. I saw.
What
the
was the
flyer.
drink special?
I tell you what, I wasn't drinking nothing.
What was the drink
Believe
special?
that.
That's what I want to know.
I don't. Whatever it is, bring your own sealed drinks to that party.
Here you go, man. Anyway, so what do y'all think about this, man? Like him coming to the defense, fresh out like that, coming to her defense, and I'm talking about ride. Like he was riding. Like
I mean, he's supposed to at this point. I mean, this man just was in prison for what, 3 years and
Two and a half, yeah.
and she's supporting him the whole time. I mean, I don't really see a reason why he wouldn't come to her defense based on that particular situation. I mean,
Well, yeah, and you got to realize when people say there's freedom of speech, it's freedom of speech. Yes, there is freedom of speech, but you got to understand there's not freedom of consequences. You can
Or
say whatever you
repercussion.
like, but it doesn't mean that you're above criticism when you say things. So, regardless, and the thing is, if you're in Phylicia Rashad's particular position, I think what everyone should have learned from what happened to her last week is you always have the option to say nothing. True. You do not have to run to your social media and say anything at all. You could have texted, your friend Bill Cosby and said, I'm so glad you're home, this, that, and you could have picked up the phone and probably still, they did 2 television shows together. They're probably very close. The person that these people are talking about in court, it just isn't the person that she knows. So it might be hard for her to reconcile those things. But once again, you always have the option to say nothing. I see a lot of people out here who are dying on the wrong hill for someone who really is not going to do anything for you. Like, it's not worth it for you to be like, yeah, shout out to Bill Cosby, we holding it down. No.
he could care less. He at least shouted out Boosie. Boosie got a right to be a little happy.
But you know what, before a lot of this, Bill Cosby would have told you to put down the pound cake and pull up your pants and stop naming your kids these weird names. Like, he didn't have any love for you when he was out. But now, it's this weird thing where I think it's also like, look, if we're going to hold somebody accountable, we'll hold them accountable, but we're not going to let these white folks do it. And unfortunately, for everyone who has that conspiracy theory, little pea rolling around in their brain,
man, I heard it all.
Basically, this gave validity to that whole situation, to where, see, it was because he was trying to buy NBC, and then they had to go ahead and kill his son, and this, that, and the third. And so it gives a level of validity to people who have those feelings. And I will say this: I don't care how you feel about Bill Cosby. The law. He still deserved due process. You can't skip steps within the law just because
that's not the American way, though.
You think he's a bad person, because if they'll do that to somebody who has as much money, as much notoriety, as much power as Bill Cosby, then what will they do to your brother, your son, your daughter, one of your children, and who can't afford the best lawyers? That's why we don't even have really, and this is me getting deep, and I'm going to stop. That's why we don't really have a justice system in this country. We have a police system. Yeah. Because there's not a lot of justice being served. Like, even when I had to go to traffic court, they were, at one point they were like, do you just want to plead guilty and pay the fine and we can end this? And I was like, yeah, I don't want to come back here anymore.
At all.
And there are people who do that for things that are a lot more serious than a couple traffic tickets.
Yeah. Go ahead, Terry, what you were saying about that's not the American way.
I mean, we talk about due process all the time, and you're not guilty until proven so in the court of law. But literally, if you think about every case that's happened, people have already decided this person was guilty before the court trial even happened. And then when we talk about when you serve your time, you paid your debt to society, how many times did that ring true? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't. It's the American way.
It just depends on what we think about that person. Like,
that too.
We don't, like, Mike Tyson was convicted of what he was convicted of, and he gets to go on The View and have a one-man show because people really don't believe he was guilty of that.
Facts.
But there's still people whenever Mike Vick shows up somewhere,
Yeah.
who wanna the ASPCA and all the the people who love dogs more than people, all those people want to show up and still protest anytime this, and he really paid his debt to society. He did 2 years and some change in a federal prison.
And
Yeah,
lost,
he did.
and lost a bag.
I mean, he got it
He
back.
got it back, yeah.
But I'm just
and
saying,
he's a commentator
and
now too. So
he's somebody who speaks on behalf of, but they don't care because there are people who are just, they will decide whatever you did, we're not going to forgive you. You're going to have to wear this for the rest of your life. You're defined by your mistakes.
True. Long jump in there, man. Did you have any thoughts about this in terms of him coming to our defense, or just the overall? What we've been
I
talking
think just
about?
in general, like it's possible to have two multiple things can be true at the same time, right?
Right.
We can say that, yeah, Bill Cosby's probably guilty of the things that he did, but at the same time, it probably wasn't fair.
Right.
So that's just the way that I look at it. Like, am I gonna defend Bill Cosby? No,
No.
not at all. But I mean, it's not my place, and two, I don't care. Like, he did what he did. Cool. But did he serve his
Or not
time
cool.
for it? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I
we
mean,
knew where he was going,
but I mean, technically,
Yeah,
if
we
he
knew where
served
he was
his, if he actually served his,
Paid his debt.
he didn't really.
He really paid more than his debt,
Yeah, he
because
did.
due to the rule of law, he should not have been prosecuted or going to jail at all.
Facts.
Okay, but
Bada
that's
boom, bada bing.
But then like.
On a karmic level, maybe he did deserve to be in prison, but that's not what we put people in prison for.
Yeah, for sure. And we're all familiar with the prison system and the judicial system and what all is in.
How it does not really work.
Yeah.
Nah,
and
not at
how
all.
it's skewed and biased and all that other good
I
stuff
literally,
as well. But
I literally have a homie doing time right now for a weed charge in a state that is legal
yeah.
Yeah.
to have, possess, and sell weed.
Now that's tough. That's tough.
So, but, at the same time, and this is just the way I look at the world, and I know this is different from a lot of people, not necessarily maybe anybody here, but like, laws are just rules, that we've decided are whatever they are. And so they can change at any given time. So like today we can say, oh man, what Bill Cosby did is worth 50 years or life in prison. And then tomorrow we can be like, yeah, it's only a 10-year offense, like.
Kind of like crack in the 80s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Crack versus cocaine, et cetera, right? So, I just kind of look at it from an individual situation. Do I feel like he's legitimately been held accountable for the things that he probably did? Not really. But he has been held accountable to some extent.
Somewhat.
And it's not my place or my even care to try to determine what that is for him. Like, I don't care. Like,
I just think we can. It's so hard for people in this society to walk and chew gum at the same time.
it is.
Just like you said, I can have a serious problem with Bill Cosby's behavior, but I can also have a serious problem with the way he was prosecuted and the way the law worked and seemed to shortcut things just to get him in jail. And the sad thing is, when you see it was really just a pissing contest between, the trial judge and, a former DA, you realize that it really was never about justice for any of these women. It was really just, some guys who had personal beefs, who were political opponents.
It's a
got the
trophy.
best of 'em.
It's a trophy case.
And they and it was their pettiness that, wound up having Bill Cosby and actually having this trial. It was never about justice for women who've been victimized or had to deal with sexual assault and never had their day in court. And that's the really sad thing about this, because once again, it's about the patriarchy. It's about men. It's not about actually protecting women and taking care of women in our society.
Let me ask you this. What do you think about, I did read that he is planning to go back out on the road somewhat. How do you all think, Lone, I'll come to you first. How do you think he will be received if he were to, step back out there and start doing venues? It ain't got to be, like smaller venues, small clubs. What do you think the reaction would be? Are the tickets gonna fly?
Yeah, I think they will.
You think they will?
Yeah.
I think because there's a ton of people that support him, and there's a ton of people that support him just off one of those factors that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
You know,
People just want to be entertained.
you know, so I think he'll do just fine, and for some people it'll just keep on moving. It's not the same as like an R. Kelly thing either. I don't think R. Kelly could come out and do something similar.
I think he could.
Well, he might be able to.
I've seen a couple of DJs slip up and play R. Kelly songs and people not even trip.
Yeah.
I could see that, but I think I'm with Lone on the
You might be
reception
right.
with the reception part. I don't know. I think this might be a little bit easier than that.
There's just a lot. There's just a lot more gray area around Bill.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah.
Because, even people can say, well, you saw what they did like this. There are people like, well, where were the criminal complaints? Where,
It's
there are all
justifiable.
these women, but, there's no...
There's ways
I don't want to get into it.
there's-
But I did joke, and maybe I shouldn't have joked about it, but why not? Well, who's going to cancel us? That Bill, if he does come out, he should come out and just do the filthiest. He should be like, what has he got to lose at this point? He might as well just come out and start doing the comedy he was doing, with his friends back in the day.
Hey,
He do a complete 180.
Just
turn
come
into
out and just
turn
do
into
the nastiest
Richard
X-rated
Pryor
comedy ever.
and Red Fox combined.
What you don't even know about time. I'll tell you about doing real time. All right, let's move on.
all right. Lone's face is worth the price of admission. I'm telling y'all, man. But nah, man, I want to see how that goes. I think y'all are right though. People gonna come out at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And y'all
There'll
both
be
made
protesters there, just like there were for Michael
Y'all
J,
make
just like
great
there were for R.
points.
Kelly.
Yeah,
Y'all
it's
make-
gonna be,
There'll be
gonna be tomatoes thrown and all kind of stuff. I don't know.
But y'all make great points, Lone, especially when you were talking about two things can be true. Because this is the epitome of that to me. That's well said. 'Cause
It's so easy in general just to get latched to one idea, and just for everything. Like even if you're not meaning to do that, I do it all the time and I have to catch myself. So it's just like it's like, oh wait, two things can be true at the same time. Like it's not a monolith.
100%. Jay Diff, you got anything else to add before we keep it moving?
No, I think that's good.
About it? All right. Let's go ahead and go to the next topic. Shout out to the chat. I see y'all. So don't do that. Don't do that. Y'all.
You want to shout out both names again?
No, there's more in there now, but I ain't gonna do that. But we appreciate them as well, and the lurkers. All right, so y'all even got Red August to giggle on that.
Hey, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, but so did y'all see Wack 100?
Nope.
You didn't see it. Well,
So I just
Negative.
tell you straight up.
you say you ain't. Would you say straight out the box? No sir.
Yeah.
Man, this bothers me, man, because sometimes I feel like artists, he's not an artist, but he's associated with the gang management, etc. So he's a part of hip hop. Sometimes I think like people just make certain comments and make huge statements, and sometimes people in hip hop, we say some stupid stuff. And like Sha'Carri Richardson's been in the news obviously for the drug test, and now she can't go to the Olympics. She's not, yeah. Yeah. You know how Stephen A.
We
duh.
Stay
off the weed.
Yeah. But she failed that drug test, so she's not gonna be able to do the 100 meter. And I saw earlier that I believe she didn't even make the 4x1, so she's not
She
going
did?
at all.
Nope, she's not going to be in the relay team either.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I saw like Snoop was riding for her and Drake was riding for her, but Wack 100 says, put her on the first thing smoking back to the dispensary. A violation leads to punishment. Nobody is bigger than the program. Rules and regulations are there to be followed, not ignored. Cool. Then he says, she failed us as a people as far as I'm concerned.
All right.
This is where I'm like, fam, you just said on the last topic, sometimes it's better just not to say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
This young lady did not fail us, and I'm assuming he's meaning black folks. She did not fail us as, what do you say, fail us as a people?
Maybe he means Americans.
Maybe. I wish I could see how you look when he said that.
Yeah.
Man, this is what this. I'm not with this one, man. I'm sorry, man. From all the rest of the support I saw from people in hip hop, it was positive. He was on the right track, but fam failed us as a people off a failed drug test, I'm cool on that. Am I wrong? What do y'all think? What you think, Jay Moore, when you hear that? To me, that's extra. Like to me, that's irresponsible.
I think that he just, he took it way further than it needs to be. But his name is Wack 100.
We say that every time we bring up a Wack 100.
Yeah,
topic.
That his name is Wack 100.
It
goes back to his name.
The fact his name is Wack 100, but that's fine.
I only know him because of the show.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, word?
Yeah, I was like, who is Wack 100?
Yeah.
And then I had to do my research, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Mr. Wack, he, I think he's doing too much here, but that's just what, in the age of social media, that's just what it is. Just like Phylicia Rashad was doing too much, with the Bill Cosby situation, he's doing too much. I mean,
Phylicia got a pass because she's at that age where she gonna say what she want to say.
Yeah,
anyway.
there's something about when old black women pretty much just say what they need to say.
100%.
They don't care about being canceled. They'll be like, look, I made it to this point. You can leave me alone.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, old white people are the same.
Talk to him, Long.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
Young white people. No, let's stop.
There's a difference.
Yeah, there is a
Long
difference.
said, don't get me started.
But it's a good thing a lot of white families could not get together for Thanksgiving after this election.
Man.
But
Tough.
but yeah, Wack just saying this like he didn't need to say it. The young lady, I mean,
I was pulling for it, man.
I was pulling for it, but you know what? Look, just in you got to know the rules, Mom, and
You do.
just like I remember a friend of mine had got laid off from his job. But part of his ritual, was like on Sundays he liked to, indulge in a little herbal essence. And
I see what you did there. I like that.
And when he watched football, and that was his glass of wine.
Yeah.
For like some people indulge, some people they have a little sip or whatever. But when he was back in the job market, he was like, okay, I gotta cut this off because if I get the job I want and an opportunity presents itself, I don't want to lose that opportunity because of a failed drug test.
That's fair.
And so while I feel for her, I think it's still messed up that we're testing for marijuana in 2021 at all.
That's where I was going,
because it's not like it's a performance enhancing drug. In fact, it makes it more impressive that she ran a 10.8 on weed. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I feel, but once again, these are the rules. We know why marijuana is. Why it's even called marijuana,
right?
Is it has its roots in racism.
Yep.
But unfortunately, until they strike those rules from the books, you have to be aware. Like I feel sorry for her because she's worked so hard to get to this point, and one lapse in judgment brought on by the trauma of losing a parent has basically dashed her opportunity. For at least another 4 years. Of course, track is 3. Oh, that's right.
She'll still have opportunities.
She'll still have, because she can still run in the world championships. Like,
it's not, but it's not gonna hit like the Olympics, though.
It's not, but at the same time, she's still young enough to where she can come back. But now was her time, and unfortunately, that lapse in judgment brought on by the trauma of losing her mother. Like, I feel for her on so many different levels, but at the same time, you're an adult. They give you a card, like they tell you what stuff you can't even get from GNC.
Yeah.
What supplements and what vitamins you cannot take that are on the ban list, and you can't be surprised. I mean, it's messed up because she was running in Oregon. In Oregon, recreational use of marijuana is 100% legal.
Yeah.
But of course, we know on a federal level and how they test in the Olympics, it doesn't matter what they're doing in Oregon. This is a lot bigger than that. And I have more sympathy for her than I do scorn, but at the same time, like this could serve as an example to a lot of young people. Don't let that lapse in judgment take away an opportunity that you deserve.
Jay Diff, what you think? I know she ain't let us down as people. Though.
Definitely not. That's a little extra.
Yeah. She didn't do anything illegal, technically.
Nah.
We're talking about a young lady that's running track. Mind you, I don't know if you all have seen Team USA as far as the track team is concerned. There's other people that can pick up her shoes and put them on and fill in just as well as she did. Like, I think we're putting too much concern and what's the word I'm looking for? responsibility on her back as somebody that's running track for the United States of America. I mean, she smoked some weed. She said she knew she shouldn't have did it. We know that. I agree, she shouldn't have done it. But to say that she's failed Black America essentially, because that's what I'm taking.
That's how I took it too. Yep.
That's just stupid. I mean, when Michael Phelps got caught with a bong, he never got caught smoking. He got caught with a picture of a bong,
which you use to smoke marijuana.
Right, of course.
It's a water pipe.
White folks didn't come out and say that he's failed America. You know what I'm saying?
At all.
It's we got to get to the point where we're not putting so much weight on one person's back and trying to make it like this one person is the voice for everybody. We have a lot of talented people all over the United States and on the team, and unfortunately this situation is overshadowing everything. We don't know how the Olympic team is going to perform. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she dusted everybody in the qualifications, but at the same time, you never know what would have happened over there. It's just stupid to me. I don't know.
Yeah, that comment is that's a super reach.
It's a whack 100 comment.
It's a whack 100 comment. That's what we got to start calling those. It's just a whack 100 comment.
100% whack.
100%, 100% whack. Definitely. Lon, you have any thoughts on that, man? We I know we may have touched on it by now, but just over exaggeration.
The Olympics are a white supremacist institute. No, I'm just kidding. No,
he ain't wrong though. But I'm just saying, you really dig into the history.
Yeah, no,
we'll do that on the post show. We'll do that.
I don't know. I mean, it's based on his comment. I don't really have any comment on it.
I mean,
if he's talking about Americans,
I like that. I like that.
I don't even think she let Americans down. So I think it was just something that happened. I mean, I get it. I get it. I get the fact that it could be, you want her to win, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I don't know.
You can't be right with this situation though, because when she won, people were judging her by her hair and her nails and all of that. And it's almost like they couldn't wait for her to fail. Yeah. So as soon as they found out she smoked weed and can't be on the team, then they jumped on that because they were foaming at the mouth about it because they didn't like her in the first place.
Kind of goes back to the last conversation we were talking about. People kind of make their minds up and then the narratives get built. But I don't think she did anything wrong. I was like, oh, that sucks, is what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like,
blown opportunity.
Like, is it a dumb rule? Probably, but
she literally was blowing opportunities.
Hey, nice. That's nice.
And it's not this is the thing too. Nice. A lot of people keep bringing America into play. I mean, we know we have our problems. Yeah. A lot of our stuff should be left off the world stage as well. This isn't an American problem. This is a United States Olympic Committee problem.
Right.
We don't, the American people or American Olympics, whatever you want to call them, they don't run the whole organization. So it doesn't matter that smoking is not illegal in certain places here. It is in other countries, and so on and so forth.
It's an institution.
Yeah,
it's a rule for an institution to play sports.
Right.
I mean, so I get it. There's still other countries out there that don't allow this either. So it's unfortunate is really all I can say. And I saw that and I was like, oh, that sucks. I didn't really kind of look at it like, oh, she's a bad person or
right.
Or she screwed. She knows she messed up.
She did. Now she did.
I mean,
she had self accountability for it. Like she came out and was like, yeah, I dropped the ball.
Nike got back behind her, which is cool. But I think she messed up. She took accountability for it. That should be the end of it.
She'll be just fine. Like you said, she's 21 years old. I mean, she's not really even in the prime of her career yet. If we're talking about Allison Phoenix, or Felix, I'm sorry, made the squad, and she's what, 35?
34, 35,
somewhere in there. So I mean,
second or third Olympics.
Might be fourth.
She's a beast too. She's cold.
So I mean, this is a learning experience, and she has time to pretty much write this story the right way. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
I'm with it.
They just setting her up for a comeback. So
well, that's a whack. That's definitely a whack 100 comment. That comment is whack. So he definitely dropped the ball on that. Can we do shout out to partners real quick?
Okay, Mike.
Do you know him?
You want to shout the partners out real quick?
We'd like to thank our partners for the new Old Heads podcast. No Bad Ideas Clothing Company, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl, Sun King Brewery, and the hub for all things New Old Heads, bringingdowntheband.com. Remember, once you type Bringing Down the Band in the search bar on YouTube and the page populates, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And as always, we thank you for your support. Now back to the show. All right. Back at it. Shout out to our partners as always. We appreciate them.
White Vans?
Huh? What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
You said back at it.
I missed it. I'm sorry.
Never mind. Never mind.
I missed it. All right, man.
That was a grumpy old man grumble.
Shout out to what's our homie's name? That the two older gentlemen that rap.
Pete and Boss.
Pete and Boss.
Yeah.
Shout out to them, man. I gotta kill. Did they drop a whole project?
Yeah, it was like a mixtape.
I gotta listen to that, man.
Came out in April.
Videos are amazing. All right, let's go back into the rundown. They like 70 something too, which is great. They rap better than a lot of people. I will say that, to be in their 70s. All right, so let's go to this next topic. I saw on IG, it was a crazy event, man, with a young guru, Crisis. I cannot remember the young man's name that was added to the Soul Council for Jamla, producer from, I believe, LA. I gotta look his name up. Slappers. Yeah, he. And they already got, Knots, E. Jones, a lot of those cats. They got some dope producers. But I saw Guru in the building. He was there, and Crisis was doing a set. The other young man was doing a set. And I remember it got me to think about when there was a time when producer showcases, at least I thought from my perspective, were a dope time to come out and see new talent, hear new music from people, create a lot of creatives in the room. You get a vibe and get excited from hearing new people come out with new stuff. And with the rise of the way that artists are now, to me, everything is artist forward and the producers are getting pushed further and further back, to me. Like, I feel like everything is about the rappers now, and the producers really are controlling a lot of the sound. So when I saw the event, like I said, I'm older now, so I may be unplugged and not in tune to how it is now. But I don't know. Do you guys think the producer showcase has the potential to be what it was now coming back from COVID? Because this one looked lit, but I know it's based off the names and the people that were there. But I'm talking about just in your larger cities where people used to throw these events and it'd be filled to the back with, people coming out to listen and, just to hear dope talent, a room full of creatives. And I don't know if that's the thing now. I don't know if it's just me getting older, or maybe we getting older. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not plugged in like I used to be. But Lone, I'll come to you first. Do you think it'll still be a lane for events like that? Because those used to be dope to me back in the day, but I just don't know if it's still going to be around like it was.
I think it just evolves. It's evolved with everything else. I think over the last 2 years, even through COVID, we've seen producer showcases and Discords pop up and live streams and different resources. Kenny Beats and Illmind and Brass Tracks and what's his name? Decap. What's it? Curtis King, I think is his name.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. I feel like now, as opposed to when we were up doing the iStandard battles and the other type of battles and stuff, all that stuff. Like, even though there was kind of a little bit of community built around that, I feel like the producer communities are actually a little bit more tight now than they were back then.
Ah, okay.
And I feel like there's a lot more collaboration happening. I feel like there's traveling shows and stuff like that. It may not be the same, but I think that there's definitely a lane for it. And I think production culture, whatever that is, that a lot of us were a part of, building, decade ago.
That's true.
Shouts to, Metronome and I did the writer's block for 2 years.
Yeah.
Then we did Lo-Fi Social, you know,
Shout out to Slot-A.
with Slot-A. So I mean, you know, I think this is just a long time coming. I think I actually kind of disagree with you a little bit. I think producers are a little bit more in the front now than they were.
You think so?
I think a lot more in the front. I mean, I think people pay attention to the producers a lot more now. Casual people.
You know what? Maybe I'm thinking, when I say that, maybe I'm thinking through a mainstream lens and not, to your point, just the casual head, if you will. Maybe that's where I was coming from. You see what I'm saying?
But what does that mean? I mean, what are mainstream hip hop producer showcases?
No, I'm talking about you. You said producers getting shine. To me, on the mainstream, I don't think producers get. I think it's all about the artist more than the producers.
Well, I think it's changed a lot too now. If you think about it, what we're seeing a lot more these days is a lot more collaboration. You know, Jake One is a perfect example. Jake One collaborates with a lot of his bigger placements, and placements in general have come from collaborations that he does with other artists. I remember, I mean, not trying to do any type of name drop or shout, but on a conference call a couple weeks ago, I sat in with Jake was talking to one of my students about it, and he was talking about the collaboration thing, and he's like, you know, a lot of the stuff is through collaboration, you know, and getting your material into different, you know, producers' hands that then work on it a little bit, and then they pass it around, and then you see more splits and you see more, you know, stuff that way. So I think the culture just changed. I think the culture just changed a little bit. 𝗏𝗏 talked about it quite a bit on his blap chats and the stuff that he was doing on Twitch for a long time. He would bring people's beats on, and he would go, like, if you subscribe to his whatever, got access to a portal to where you could submit loops, and he would go through the loops, and if he liked the loop, he would make a beat out of it, and if it got placed, then you got placements. So I think, I don't know, and 𝗏𝗏's worked with tons of huge names too. So I think I don't know. I think that production is in an interesting place right now, and I think it's kind of a good place. I'd be curious to see where it goes from like an in-person standpoint. I just don't, and maybe I'm out of the loop too, because I don't really have, it's probably just because I've done it for so long, but I don't have a huge need and interest in like going to a producer showcase and like, networking, but I've already done it.
We've done it. So that's what I'm saying. That's where
we're also at a certain age where we're not going to everything that's available to us to attend.
That's true
as well. Yeah. So this might be something that's a question posed to maybe the younger cats coming up,
right?
As far as if this is something that you're interested in going to and being a part of, because
I like that.
I mean, we're at the position now where we've been there and done that. So it may seem far-fetched or played out, or even, I don't know, just something that we don't see happening, but we're not actually in the loop like that right now as far as that particular pocket. You know what I'm saying?
I'd be curious to see where it goes though. But I mean, I have seen Open Beats open back up in Chicago with Fest Grandiose runs that. You know, they're still around.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to, you know, if somebody asked us to come out, me and you to come out, I wouldn't be opposed to doing it. I'd love to do it.
I would not be surprised if we started seeing more producer DJ cross-pollination of producers doing even more like
sets and things of that nature.
Because I mean, working and teaching at a DJ school, you'd be surprised how many people come in and don't know the difference, even when they come in to take just a DJ class or just to take a production class like the first time. It's just like, I just want to do music.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, well, do you want to make music or do you want to play music? And a lot of people have the understanding. I'm just talking about the casual fan, obviously. But
go ahead.
Most people don't understand the difference. I don't know about you. I don't know how many times I've been called a DJ. Like by people that know me, like, oh, you're a DJ, right? You're out there. No, I make music. It's different, you know?
Yeah.
Now, people assume DJs make beats too.
They do.
So, and it's because a lot do, but it's just, I can see that line being blurred a lot more, especially as the software becomes easier to just make stuff, which Serato Studio and stuff like that makes it really easy to make beats.
You preaching to them now. And if you think about what you said, you touched on something about collaborations, talked about splits. From a performance standpoint, prime example this past weekend, Zoe and 𝗀𝗏𝗏 had a show at the Kennedy Center, and it was just they had two sets that were across the stage from each other, blending in between beats and stuff like that. It was dope. You know what I'm saying? But
They also were in
piece
DC.
that you talked about.
They also were in DC, so you got to factor in demographics
I agree.
and how the scene is in particular areas.
Yeah.
So like you could let's say we were going to do that event here, we would be in attendance,
I'll be there.
and probably about
20.
50 more. I'm being generous. Saying
I was
50.
more with Lone. I was more with Lone.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what night you do it.
Yeah.
Is there a basketball game?
Whereas,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You doing it in DC, I mean, that's
Yes, sir.
prime. That's a prime place to do it. DC, Philly,
Yeah.
places like that. I mean, there's even there's something called a track meet. Remember I showed you that where they actually play beats. It's like a game show.
You showed me. Yep.
They play these beats and people have to guess it. And it's lit though, like there's crowds everywhere. And I thought about doing something similar here, but
Wouldn't be
will it
received.
take off? You know what I'm saying? It's all about demographic for the most part, and what area you're from and what they're into.
We have a unique perspective also because, Jay Moore, you hosted beat battles before, right? The ones that we used to be in, and you're aware of the vibe and how that was. So do you think now, well, what we talked about, how things may be twisted around or changed a little bit, obviously coming out of COVID and, with Twitch and the way things are now, what do you think about the idea of that, like possibly having a possible resurgence?
Well, my biggest question as far as beat battles is like, are you going to get me to host? Because no, I'm just kidding.
That boy be collecting them bags.
No, because of course, during the journey of the Jay Brookins beat battle, shout out to Jay Brookins. The first one was in the back of a beauty salon. Like it
It's now with
wasn't the
Fat
first
Dan's.
Oh, that wasn't even the
That
first
wasn't the
one.
first
Yeah.
one. Okay.
No, the first one was like in a sandwich shop.
It's where Fat Dan's is.
Yeah,
where Fat Dan's
It's a
is
20
now.
tap, actually.
Yeah.
It was
And-
Northside News.
That's where the first one was?
That's when
I
the first
remember
one
that.
was. Yeah, I remember. And the thing is, I didn't get to go to that
I
one.
wasn't
I
here
had to work.
then. Yeah, I wasn't.
And
That was
I was at that one.
so it went from just a small collection of like-minded artistic people
Yeah.
to being on the biggest at the Vogue.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was the first time I had hosted a show at the Vogue. Like that was the first time. That was like the last time I was a little nervous getting on stage.
It was a lot of people in there
because
too.
it was packed.
Yeah, it was packed.
But and this is the thing, and what makes it so hard. Wherever you're listening from, you got to grow things. You can't automatically feel like, okay, I'm going to be in that big theater downtown or whatever city you're in, and think, okay, this is the event we're going to do. It takes time. It takes, the resources of people who are dedicated to seeing it through, even though everybody might leave with, $5 and maybe a beer to show for it.
Yeah.
If that. You know what I'm saying? Because like there are times where I didn't leave with that. But I tell people this, because people, with people on all hosting, and this just speaks for anything artistic. People are like, okay, how do I get to where you're at? And I was like, well, you got to understand, like,
Tell them the 929 story.
yeah, there was times when I wasn't, there's a long time, even for coaches, I wasn't getting paid to be a coaches because we weren't making any money at coaches. Metronome was bringing all the equipment and he was bringing in guest DJs. And so once all that got chopped up, I was like, okay, I was just happy to, to have my Bud Lights in a little bit of the spotlight. I don't
Cook
work
some
for that.
chicken wings.
I don't work for that now, so don't ask. But
No, now.
it really is a thing where, do I think people will come out? Yes, I do. But, people have to be patient as far as them building a platform.
Yeah.
We're over it because, once again, we've been there, we've done that. But there's a whole new generation of beat makers, of producers, of people who have all these sounds in their head and they want to hear them on the big speaker somewhere.
Yeah. Yep.
And so if we brought back the Jay Brookins beat battle, or just whoever's beat battle, it may take a little time to get it off the ground, but there are people here who are like, oh, finally a showcase for my art. And
I believe that.
and I think it could definitely be a thing. We're just getting to the point where like we're just ready for people are just ready to come out the house.
Yeah.
You know, some people still have that hesitation, you know, and I understand why. You know, because there's people out here still just they didn't get that jab, and they're not gonna get it. You know, and these are the same people who never wanted to wear masks or anything.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
Don't wash their hands when they use the bathroom.
yeah, I was like, look, I'm wearing my mask still out in public just because I was like, you know what, I haven't had a cold in a long time either. So
heard
you
that.
know what, I'll just
Heard that.
I'll just keep moving like this, and you know, just for my, you know, I'll do it out of pure selfishness. That's what they should have made it about, just pure selfishness, not about your fellow man. Make it about you. But I think something like that, whatever city you're in, could work. You just have to have the dedication and the patience to do it.
I think, Lone, I think you right on the money, man, with the, and that's a good point as well, Jay Moore, but how you talked about it's evolved. I think I'm with you on that. It's just fun for me to kind of watch now and sit back and see what said wave is going to be. But I still would like to go out and rock occasionally. But you know,
I think there's a place for it. That's why I mentioned the DJ stuff. I think there's a place for producers more so now in live event spaces than maybe 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And 5 years ago and 10 years ago. I think I mean, it's not, you know, it's kind of like an opening DJ.
Yeah.
Except for they're performing, you know? And so I think.
Shout out to Il Brown, man. We did that for Benny, what you're talking about. You know, it's the same thing. So
We did the same thing for Sky Zoo.
I've literally been booking people to do that for almost a decade.
yeah.
So.
But
You
just
know?
be clear now. Which camera? Okay, here we go. Be clear. If you ask, make sure I get the right one, Red August. Now, if you ask me alone to
turn
come
him
out,
off, yeah.
if you ask me alone to come out, you're gonna need a deposit. So I'm just telling y'all, we passed that stage. So get us a deposit. We'll talk about it.
I mean, we did that. We did that at the Hi-Fi.
Sure did. Yeah,
Not
rocked
too long.
out. But yeah, get the deposit, man. Send a deposit to Jay Moore, and we'll talk about it. All right.
Y'all did sets of hip hop night as well, both of y'all.
Yeah. Me and Long get busy, man. Be clear. All right, so good talk there. I think you changed my mind on that, Lone. You made some good points. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Okay.
All right. Y'all be encouraging him. Cut that out. All right, so last topic before we get out of here. And this applies to everybody at this table. It's in different ways.
I sure hope so. We're having a conversation.
I'm just saying though, but it's you'll see what I mean, because his answer is going to be ours are going to be way different from y'all's, but it's still in the grand scheme of things. So, speaking of experience and all the stuff that we talked about, especially with the last topic, if there were 3 things, if you can think of them, that you tell your younger self, as it relates to being involved with the hip hop culture, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself if you were 18, 19 years old? What would be, if you can't give me 3, I can start off if you want, but think about 3 things you tell yourself about being involved as a DJ. You as an MC and a host, producer, record label, executive, etc., website, blog. Like, you've done a lot. If there were 3 things you could tell yourself, your younger self, for me,
That's a tough one.
for me, one thing I would tell myself is pay less attention to how your friends feel, not collaborators, friends, your outside friends. Pay less attention to how your friends feel about your music and focus on the people who actually like your music. Like people that actually respond to your music versus trying to impress people that are just around all the time. Like, pay closer attention to the people that are engaged in what you do. Push them to the forefront. Push the homies to the back. Because the people that you need to be engaging with and building your fan base and your brand with are the people that are truly enthusiastic about you. That's one thing I would tell myself, is to focus on the people that send you the email and say, hey man, I loved your show last night. Build a relationship with that person that could last 10 years, 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Versus just playing beats for the homies. That's one thing I tell myself. Long, what you think? You got one? You want me to go around? Because you've done a lot. So
I think I'm just gonna say something that I guessed on and I got right.
Okay.
For the most part, even though you can always do better, right?
Yeah.
With more insight, obviously I could have capitalized, or if that's the right word. But I think it's just building the network of people around you. And the one thing that I did when I moved to Indianapolis was I just went to everything. And this is what I tell a lot of younger artists that want to figure out how to get into it. I just went to everything. And I didn't know anybody when I moved here. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And so I just went to everything. And I just had conversations with people. I would just show up, talk a little, keep it moving. When the opportunity presented itself, I would share, what I did, whatnot. But something that I've gotten away from that I think is probably something that I have to continue to remind myself, and something that I wish that I did a lot more of and continue to do, is just always put myself in positions to be active. So me being an introverted person, a really introverted person for that matter, I would always prefer to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what, that I don't really care who's performing. I'd rather stay home.
Yeah.
And typically I would show up to shows and I'd be like ready to go when I'm there. It's just kind of what it was. It's just who I am. But one thing that I started to realize is that every time that I forced myself to go out and engage, is that I would always gain something meaningful from everything. And I would pay attention to it, and it'd be like, okay, cool. I had a conversation with this person that I haven't talked to in a long time, or I had this conversation here. And once I started putting that stuff together, I was like, man, I should have been doing this the whole time. Like just forcing myself to go out and to just do things. It's actually not even answering your question though, because that's something that I kind of did. So I'm gonna have to think about this a little bit more.
That's all right.
But that is something
I see where you're going though.
But that is something that people ask me that question specifically, like what to do, and I always say, man, just network, just be active, like go to things and like talk to people.
So would it be fair to say that, I guess your answer could technically be that you would have focused more on that, like just the networking piece?
I would say that this is advice that I would give myself even now.
Even now, okay.
Because even though I know that, I still don't do it as much as I should. Because it's so easy to just get comfortable where you're at, especially when you've been doing something for so long.
I agree.
And I still need to push myself all the time to go out and to be active in the different communities that I'm a part of, and to share stuff and be proactive and be like, hey, do you need tracks? Like, hey, do you want to work? Like, hey, do you want to do some stuff? Like, you have to be active, and I'm not active right now, and it's because I'm doing a million things, but it's something that I should be more proactive with even now.
I'll take that though. That's real. That's a real answer. Jay Diff, DJing, man. I know you got stories, and I know you've been through it. So if there was something you could tell yourself getting into the world or in the realm of being a DJ, what would you tell your younger self?
People aren't going to like everything. And you're not necessarily going to like everything that you might have to spin at certain events, because your goal and your mission is to make the people at this particular event enjoy themselves. So unless it's an event that you threw yourself, which is catered to a particular sound, you have to play towards or for those people that are in attendance. I struggled a lot because I want to play certain stuff, and people aren't necessarily into what I'm into. And this comes down to demographic we were talking about earlier. If I was in a different city, introducing some of the sounds and styles that I play, it would be totally different. But I have to play for the market that I'm in, for the most part. And I mean, there's been plenty of parties and things that we've thrown that people receive well, but there's not enough people receiving it like that. So you just have to kind of, deal with the punches and figure it out. And I mean, do you? By no means am I saying to just fall in place and just play whatever's popular. Do you? But just figure out that angle that's going to make people want to hear it.
That's a bar. because that's one of the things that keeps me, frightens me. Well, not frightens, but has me indifferent about even attempting to DJ. Is because I can't get past not playing what I want to hear, versus learning how to actually control a room. Like I've seen you DJ before, and you know how to I've seen you switch the vibe so that it works. Metronome's great. Castle, like they know how to switch it when it's going south and get it right back popping. Like that is one of the things that will hold me back, because it's like, it's not about what I want to hear. It's about, controlling the room, working the crowd. So I think that's a bar. Like you hit the nail on the head. Tell your younger self that's a bar. So Jay Moore, now your set of circumstances is completely different from what we've talked about. You've done radio.
All right.
Your emceeing game has been high for years now. So you've been out and amongst the culture, whether it's the DJ school, whether it's the clubs, it's hosting this or hosting that. So you've been involved with the culture as well. Can you think of anything that you would, tell your younger self?
No, I've been killing it this whole time. No, I mean, it's crazy. Like just, because of course I've been around DJs and the whole way the music industry has changed, because I got to see so many of these things happen in real time, being in commercial radio. I mean, starting in college radio, of course, and then getting in commercial radio. Then, of course, I've done non-for-profit community radio. I've done it all. One thing I would do, I'd be like, hey, youngin', don't buy all them CDs, because eventually you spending $50 a week on CDs and you're never going to listen to, like, you're going to listen to them and then, like, they're going to get lost or stolen, and it won't matter because now everything is streaming. But as far as I would just tell people or tell myself, to be, don't try to be anybody else than who you are on stage. You have to, because you can always be confident when you're trying to be yourself. When you're trying to get up there and be Johnny Carson or Arsenio Hall or whoever that you think is great and trying to emulate them, well, you're never going to be comfortable on stage trying to be somebody else. I'll get up on stage and I can, because in this, and be able to adjust to where you are. Like, being able to control that crowd, with the DJ, with my voice. But then, I'll be at the 100 Black Men, black tie gala, and I'll be able to use my voice there and still be able to, do the same thing. Still have my personality, but at the same time make the adjustments, between, being in a sweaty basement bar and being at a black tie event. Still doing you though. Still doing me. Just like, when we moved the Jay Brookins beat battle, we were, in these little small spots, and then we eventually made our way to the Vogue and then made our home at the Hi-Fi. I was able to make those adjustments to depend on, being on stage. But the whole thing was, I'm never nervous on stage if I'm myself. And so, like, I would tell anyone whether or not you're a singer or a comedian or anyone who holds the mic on stage and has to interact with a crowd, you've got to be, just like, when I can't remember which event and Super Crip came through, I was still able, you still gonna get Jay Moore. I'm not gonna, it is what it is. And a lot of people who are at that particular event remember that. So, that's the only thing I tell my younger self is, like, if you're going to get on stage and do this, be yourself, because when you're trying to be somebody else, you're always gonna feel uncomfortable on stage. And that's for, if you're a rapper, if you're a DJ, anything where you're on stage, you gotta be some version of yourself, because if you're up there trying to be somebody else, it will show through, and people don't like that. That's real. They can see through that very easily. That's real.
Indeed.
There's a couple other things. I would say, number one, care about the money earlier.
Oh, yes. Yes.
tactfully, obviously.
Yes.
But be more focused on figuring out how to like legitimately make money off the things that I'm doing, as opposed to doing everything for the culture.
yes. Yes.
Um,
I'm glad you said that.
Because if I calculated all the hours
Talk to him.
that I put into,
You got 10,000
Way
different avenues.
Yeah.
uh,
Yes. Multiple 10,000.
yeah. So that and also the
Glad he
I'll
said
just throw this out there too. Just and this refers to me a longer time ago, but just being a little bit gatekeeperish around ideas and stuff that I knew about. Like and I haven't been this way in a long time, but early on it was like, if I knew about something, it would just be like, you have to know this too. Why don't you already know this? Rather than trying to encourage somebody to be like, hey, check something out that you may not like. It's just, like, rather than encourage them to check it out, you don't put them down because they don't know it, because they probably want to know about it. So,
Yeah.
just don't be an asshole.
Well, I'll take that.
There you have it.
No, I'm glad you said that, man. That's big. I think matter of fact, that's huge. The one about the money, monetizing and thinking that way early.
Yeah. At least thinking it.
Yeah, just thinking that way is early. And I think also, I would also say that it's okay for your circle to get smaller as you progress. And the reason I say it is because I've learned that you just outgrow certain people in certain stages. Like everybody,
You can't bring everyone
Yeah,
with
everybody can't come with you.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be like, okay, I know what this friend is for. This is just my friend, and we cool. That don't mean you're gonna come with me when I come over to Lone's crib and we working on something. You're not that person. Like, you have to learn how to qualify the people around you.
Right.
That would be, something I would pay attention to too, because everybody don't need to come to wherever you come along with what you're doing. Everybody has a certain role, and some people just don't need to be a part of it. We've been friends for years because we have a lot of, we see things similarly in terms of music and stuff like that. So we've been collaborating for years, and everybody's not like that. But it's my man. We've been working forever. So just learn those people, learn the people around you, and just be careful with your crew. Is what I would say.
Invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Terry. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
Definitely invest in yourself, because worrying about what other people are doing and it's not going to get you anywhere. Like, you have to worry about your path and what you plan on doing.
The money comes back.
Yeah.
Like, if it's something you want to do, the money will always come back.
Mhm.
Because either you're going to learn from it or you're going to invest differently next time, but you're still going to be spending it. You're still going to be doing it. So do it sooner than later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think that's a good place for us to end, man. Great job, fellas. Those are jewels, and hopefully whoever watches this will, pick up one jewel from one of us and maybe apply that. So that's what it's about. Each one teach one. Is there anything else before we get out of here? Did I forget anything? Anybody want to? Well, Red August is. Don't worry about him.
Off-camera antics.
Yeah, foolishness. Is there anything? Did I forget anything?
No?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. All right, well, make sure you guys follow us on Twitch, hit the bell for notifications, and also the New Old Heads Network on YouTube, where we will be releasing the content. Please subscribe and hit the bell for that as well, so you can be notified every time we drop some content. Shout out to the chat. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us tonight. We appreciate everybody who's been rocking with us thus far, and hope you guys continue to stay with us as we continue to grow and expand the brand. So we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
In a minute.
Peace.